The second problem is that those running the process seem to be nice people. I've talked to some of them. But in fact, they are megalomaniacs. Now, hold on. Megalomaniac is a big word. And when I thought of it one night, I was actually sleeping and I woke up and I thought, I know the word, it's megalomaniac. I looked it up. It means a mental order characterized by delusions of grandeur, wealth, and power. Wow, I thought, that fits. I thought, what have we got? A hospital plan couched in grandeur, wealth, and power. How I wish it was couched in accessible, patient-centered care and city building instead. There are other definitions of megalomaniac, but they actually fit the situation pretty well too. One of them is, quote, a passion for or for doing big things, or a tendency to exaggerate. And I think that's what we have here. It's craziness. Those who support this approach, in my opinion, should be ashamed of themselves. Yes, I know this approach to do hospitals is common wisdom, as I've mentioned in these other communities as well, and many think it cannot be attacked, just as in the past no one was able to say that the king had no clothes. The thought that we build the right facility, then all the human problems we solved, of course, is a delusion. Every cent built on building with concrete and mortar is money that we cannot spend on people who provide the accessible, patient-centered care that we all want. It's money that will be lost to good health care. So where does the local council fit in regard to these decisions? Well, in Bracebridge and Huntsville, two relatively small communities, you probably know up there in the Canadian Shield, the two councils are both strongly opposed to what the ministry and the hospital board are trying to do. They don't like the idea that the small facilities that they have in both their towns will be shut down. And in fact, a new hospital will be built in a pristine part of the Canadian Shield, equal distance between the two communities, literally in the middle of nowhere. It looks very likely that they will challenge the ministry in court on the basis of provincial planning policy. They'll just say, sorry, you got policy, you can't do it. And these two communities took the unheard of step on Monday evening of this week, just 2 nights ago, of holding a joint meeting of the two town councils, they'd never done it before, to confront the ministry and seek a more reasonable course of action. So they're being really tough, really, really good. Now, of course, here in Windsor, you have not yet been so fortunate, and yet, I think, is the key word. The mayor and most of council have generally been in support of hollowing out the city centre and seeing a large new hospital built on the distant horizon. Do they know something we don't know? They do not. But they've been mesmerized by the big bucks floating in the air. This kind of dumb approach happens much too often at the municipal level, most usually with professional sports teams who demand that the local government build them a new arena and threatening to go elsewhere if they do not give them their wish. We hear that story all the time. Give us the arena, we're going to go somewhere else. And the point is, if there is a competition with Bracebridge and Huntsville, as some people have said, Windsor is in competition with other places for money. Well, if there is a competition with Bracebridge and Huntsville, I want to tell you that those two communities hope that Windsor will win. And that's a pity. But there is no competition. That's not true. There is no competition. There's always pressure to be silent in the face of big money. And I want to say that Councillor Chris Holt, wherever he got to, should be praised. I know he didn't want me to say this, but he should be praised for not being cowed by the big money. He is acting with the kind of gumption we expect from everyone we elect. But the aura of the megalomaniac is powerful. No wonder the local integrated health network refuses to hold a meeting in Windsor to talk about its support of the new hospital in the suburbs. No wonder that the mayor and most of the council won't engage in this issue. No wonder the senior policy advisor to the Ministry of Health, after greeting me so warmly in the telephone 2 or 3 weeks ago, has since refused to send me the ministerial guidelines for new hospitals and has refused to respond to any of my frequent calls and emails. Megalomaniacs don't have an answer for reasoned arguments. But as citizens, you are not alone in challenging this approach by the Ministry of Health and Infrastructure and the local integrated health network. They are being challenged by other people in other locations. As I've mentioned, they're about to be challenged in Collingwood, I'm happy to say. I talked last night to the deputy mayor, and he said, I'm against the moving the hospital to the suburbs. And he's ready to engage and make it criteria. So you have allies that you should reach out to. I believe this is the beginning of the struggle to get the Ministry of Health to start spending our money more wisely. I suspect there are many here in the healthcare field here in Windsor who also wish to express their opposition to what is proposed, but have yet been willing to find the confidence to do so. Perhaps what we need is a good study which shows that for substantially less money, existing hospitals can be renovated and added to, new facilities built centrally, and that more funds can be devoted to the human side of healthcare rather than bricks and mortar. Surely these are questions the Ministry of Health should be addressing, and maybe the university can help on this now that it's made the wise decision to say we got to be more in the central area. Maybe there's good resources there you can use that will help make a more reasonable decision. What physical resources do we want, and what human resources do we need to improve healthcare here? That's the real question. What can be done to improve healthcare in Windsor for a modest amount of money? That's a good question. So let me return to the first question. Where should a new hospital be built? Obviously, in the central city if you're going to build one, since that provides accessible, patient-centered care, and it builds and strengthens the city. It is right to hammer away with this question since it is the one that megalomaniacs have such trouble responding to. I have no doubt that the struggles going on here and in other communities are critical to restoring reason and financial responsibility to healthcare decisions making in Ontario. Keep up the struggle. Many in the province rely on your resilience. Thank you for being so strong and so determined in what might be a bit longer fight. Thank you very much.